Whiskey 9 Yankee, 7 November Golf, over. Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Negative Alpha Bravo. And this is 7 November Golf, Roger. Request you check your Romeo side. I'll go ahead and check my Tango side. 7 November Golf out. November 85, and 8 7 November, say again. 7 November, go. I copied while ago, 1 Charlie transmission that my used November, go. 1 Charlie, and 8 5, this is 7 November, Charlie. Now 1 Charlie, 7 November, go.
This is 1 Charlie, welcome to your last. You're Brandon 158 extra 5 5 1200 between teams and local. Also request your units take ground records to see if we can try to get 59 and 8 for pause to the playground.
And this is 7 November, Roger, stand by.
Got that.
Got it? Alright. And all units, this is 7 November Golf. My unit Alpha, Echo, X-ray Alpha Alpha in there.
One Charlie, Alpha Bravo.
Hey, I never took a dip. I forgot to take a dip.
Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Whiskey 9 Yankee, 7 November Golf, over. Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Whiskey 9 Yankee, 7 November Golf, over. Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Negative Alpha Bravo. And this is 7 November Golf, Roger. Request you check your Romeo side. I'll go ahead and check my Tango side. 7 November Golf out. November 85, and 8 7 November, say again. 7 November, go.
All right, welcome to another live stream here. We got Jason from the glorious, right, ginormous YouTube whale, Veterans Info Tap, as at least I like to say. We have David Piatek here, that beautiful bald head of his, and then myself on the Civ Div. So welcome to the stream. We are taking a different approach with this stream, so kind of hang in tight because we're on the holidays. You know, it's Thanksgiving. Should you talk about your VA benefits to your family members? That's going to get a little weird because everyone's got their own 2 cents, right? And then absolutely, this season is actually the best time to buy. I did not know that. And veterans with their VA home loan, we actually might have some buying power this season, which is quite different from any other season. So real quick before we dive in, we had some people join the channels as members. Now, food for thought, I have zero idea who came from whose channel because Jason, myself, and Veterans Daily, we're also on Veterans Daily, we're all linked to my StreamYard account. So we're all one big family here. So Donald Lathrop, thank you for being a member. We definitely appreciate that. Lauren Barnes, Robin Pauling, Mark Mollet, and Tracy Thompson. Thank you very much for joining as a member. I can tell you that if you are, I'm going to put it up there now. If you are a member of the CivDiv, at least you can download Discord and we kind of have like a member only chat there. So with that being said, Jason, go ahead and take it away. What do you got for us?
Hey, you know what? First and foremost, it's the holiday season. Everybody be safe out there. There's crazies everywhere, and that's the biggest thing, right? Take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones. I'm very, excited that everybody's jumping on right now. That's awesome. And, the topic, like Clay had mentioned so eloquently, is really about guarding ourselves, our families, those that we love. And in addition, looking for opportunities this year. And that's why we brought David on, right? Those of you out there who have watched our channels for a while, I mean, I still say I'm a new channel. Clay's still fairly a new channel when we're talking in the big scheme of things, right? Less than 3 years doing this stuff on YouTube. But collectively, we have a massive amount of knowledge. And I'm going to throw out there, too, that we lean on you guys, too. You guys have had boots on the ground with certain things that maybe we haven't, or more recently. And your comments mean so much to every single other person out there that's reading and following through with this stuff. For those of you that have seen David on several of our videos, he is a familiar face. He is a fantastic person, which is why we've included him so often, because we believe that he brings a huge value in a very misunderstood space, and that is VA home loans. So with that, David, please introduce yourself to the folks. For those that don't know you, give them some of your, a little brief military background of what you do and all that good stuff on your civilian side, please.
Yeah, thanks again for having me on, guys. I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. So my name is David Piatek. I specialize in VA home loans, and I work across the country. I have my YouTube channel called VA Housing Education. I've been in the military, still serving in the National Guard for the last 15 years. I've been in lending for about 17. And a lot of our focus is just like you guys. It's a VA disability is a lot of misconceptions around there, or people getting bad advice and putting themselves in a worse position, which I think is crazy. And that's the same thing that we do on the housing piece, because both things are life-changing, right? Buying a home is life-changing because it creates stability. You're paying yourself now. You're not paying somebody else. And, all three of us on this channel are homeowners. So we're not just saying, like, pushing product to say, hey, do it, right? Everyone's at different stages in life. And sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes it doesn't. But you should always file for your VA disability, because rules are constantly changing. And, and I feel like sometimes it becomes less favorable with these new changes that come up. But I meet a lot of veterans that even call me from you guys' channel that even haven't filed disability. So why are you watching if you're not actually filing? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, good call. Hey, so Clay kind of mentioned this a minute ago, and I want you to kind of dive into a little bit. And it's even broader than just mortgage world, but it's important to understand, because I want you to talk briefly, David, about why it's important to think about potentially buying something during the kind of the winter holiday season. Why is it beneficial? But then also, what sort of, we'll call it baggage, can come along with that by getting bombarded with all these weird phone calls and mailers and things after the fact, during the fact, and how people can what people should expect, I should say.
Yeah,
so it's really those two things.
Yeah, so definitely a couple of things to that. So this is my thought about why wintertime is the best time to buy. It's like the best, worst time, should I say. And just full disclosure, I also went under contract last November and purchased in December. And this is what we normally see in this market, and especially up north where it's cold and miserable, snow and sleet is out there, right? Maybe a little bit different market in Florida, because a lot of people are flocking to like the warmer regions. So one thing is that you have people that are not necessarily looking to purchase during the wintertime. We have the election cycle that just happened. So a lot of people are just putting themselves on hold to get into home ownership. Another thing that has scared people is that interest rates went up the other month when the Fed dropped the rate, right? Because we've talked about this before. Those things don't correlate necessarily. And what we see for the future right now is, because demand is so high in housing, we really don't see interest rates coming down in the near future. It actually wouldn't make sense, because if you think of it this way, if rates were to drop at 2.5 today, right, and we have people, the largest transfer of wealth in the history of the world is happening right now because of baby boomers passing away. The gap between people that can afford home ownership at lower rates would skyrocket the prices again. And then when the rates normalize again, guess what? That spread is even bigger between being able to purchase a property or not. And there's a lot of great programs out there that you may qualify for, like down payment assistance programs. But again, that's why the VA loan right now is leading the pack across the country, because you can do 100% financing. And guess what? If you have a certain disability rating, depending on where you live, you get those property tax breaks, which is also a big game changer. And that's kind of like, I talked to a lot of people from the channel that reach out and they're like, yeah, they helped me get me 100% PNT. Well, that's because you did it on your own and you didn't have to hire someone, right? So it's even more money that you're saving. And with a slower market, you have more negotiation, right? If a third of the people are looking at homes, and remember, supply and demand is really what drives it. So the more the demand, the smaller the supply, the interest rates go up. The home values go up. If there is a lot of sellers and less buyers, then the opposite happens. You can negotiate a lot more. And that's what the winter market typically does. That's normally where you can get credits or negotiate price. Like I see this in real time. And everyone's talking about real estate one way or another. If you're listening now, you're like, this guy's always talking about real estate, but because it's very relevant, right? If you own a home, even if you don't like it, you're like, well, I have a great rate. Why would I move? And then you talk to your friends that are looking to potentially buy. But I'll tell you with that question is that when people tell you, I am going to be waiting on the sidelines for interest rates to drop, that's your competition. If all three of us were living in the same area and we're all waiting for interest rates to drop, and all of a sudden rates drop and we're all looking at 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes, now we're our own competition. And I cannot stress that enough. And another piece to that is that you really, marry the house and date the rate, okay? Because you can always do an interest rate reduction refinance loan a little bit later. And people have that amazing benefit of the VA home loan.
Right.
Now, Jason, you made a good point about these. What happens after you have a credit inquiry? It's you get a lot of phone calls. This is what happens: emails, text messages. And I know we did a video recently about what you can do. So optoutprescreen.com and do not call.gov is something you want to register for so you don't get bombarded. Especially if you you can get 100 phone calls in a day. It's mind blowing, and text messages. And sometimes you're thinking it's important because you're going through the process, which just leads to frustration. So it's one way you can protect yourself is to go to optoutprescreen.com, and the other one is do not call.gov. And I have a whole video on that channel as well.
Yeah, check out. For those that aren't connected with David on his channel, definitely check it out. Subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I will tell you this: even if you are not in the market today, tomorrow, 5 years from now, or never, it's good information to just kind of keep a pulse on, so you can share it with your son, your daughter, your grandkids, your friends, whatever. Be that resource, right? That's what. Anyway, for me, I think of us as a veteran community, a veteran sphere, if you will, a resource. We lean on each other, right? We even help, guess what, non-veterans, right, that happen to be our friends. Not everybody can be a veteran. I get it. But look, be that resource. Be that person that says, hey, look, I just heard something the other day that might help you out with X, right? So sign up, subscribe with his channel. He's putting out great information. And I'll tell you this, from a veteran perspective, he is in a super niche, little tiny itty bitty corner of YouTube. The more that we could do to help him out, it's just better for all of us. So help a brother out, if you will. So with that, check him out. Now, Clay, I know you and I have talked about this. I'm going to segue off of something that David said here, is that 100%, right? It's this mystical place to get for a lot of folks, right? What would be 2 of your biggest suggestions for somebody who's already rated but less than 100%? And just kind of, bullet pointed. Obviously, we do 1,000 videos, right? But give a few kind of, because we could spend all day talking about this. Give a couple quick ideas on things that people should do in order to try to get to that 100%.
Yes, so I have a perfect answer for this, because this is really, if I was to say what wheelhouse am I in, it is someone who's already rated and then increasing that rating to 100% or be properly rated, right? It's actually one thing, and there's 5 bullets, Jason. And I know you wanted 2. I'm going to give 5. All right, but it's all one.
All right, that's all right. Why do less when you could do more, Clay?
Yes, it's all one thing. So it's a 5-step process, right? First, you need to look at increases. Is there a condition that I have service connected? Because service connection is the hard part, right? Once you cross that hill, it's pretty easy given you're seeing your healthcare team, and that's where increases come into play. The second step is secondaries. Look at what your service is connected for, and then look at what else you have wrong with you. Hey, I'm connected for PTSD. I've just been diagnosed with sleep apnea, right? It's not an automatic guarantee you're going to get sleep apnea, but again, go get the evidence and submit the secondary. So that's steps 1, step 2. Step 3 is denials. That's going to be the hardest step. You have to understand why you were denied before you can even proceed with which route you want to go. That is a whole rabbit hole, right? I'll kind of leave it at that. Step 4 is going to be new claims. Is there anything from service that you just didn't submit? For me, it was migraines. I had zero idea I had evidence from service of migraines. I had a current diagnosis. Put those 2 together. That's the foundation of the nexus, right? And then step 5, the last step is presumptives and terra, especially after the PACT Act, especially for our older, like our OG, Shield Storm and the 03 to 05-ish Iraq vets. PACT Act went way over the head because they've been out for 20, 40 years, right? And so you'll see a lot of presumptives and terra. So those who don't rate presumptives but still have exposure claims, I would rope those into the same step. And looking at the 5 steps is really what's going to raise your overall rating. Now, that is a 3-hour video in itself, Jason, but that's the answer, right? How does someone increase their rating? It's the 5 steps.
Yeah, and here's the thing, is that it's possible, right? Mm-hmm. It's possible. Don't be afraid to poke the bear, right? Yeah, we both hate that. I think all 3 of us probably hate that. Understand your circumstances, understand where you're at with your situation, and make an educated move is really the right answer to, instead of don't poke the bear. And I'm going to add 2 things, and then I got a question for David on this, right? So one, I would say, look, if you are not at 100% and you are toying around with the idea of filing additional claims, whether it's increase or even a presumptive, maybe people are sitting on their hands on that, or a secondary. If that's you, file an intent to file now. We have a lot of changes coming, and they could happen in the next 6 months. A lot of changes coming that have already been in place by this VA for a couple years in some cases, right? So we have neurological, the newest one added to the block, auditory, respiratory, mental health. All these changes are coming, and it's the ball that's going down the hill. You can freeze today's rating schedules by filing an intent to file and following that up with your claim. So that's number 1. Number 2 is, even if you don't have in-service documentation, there still may be a way. You got to build a bridge back. You got to do buddy statements, your own statements, blah, blah, blah. Get a nexus letter through your doctor, ideally, right? You can get it for free, potentially. You might have to bring them up to speed with what you need in that. If not, you can go over to, both Clay and I partner with American Medical Experts. Utilize them. They have $200 off this weekend, or I think through the weekend, off of their nexus letters. So take advantage of that if you need it. And I will tell you, David, when people hit that 100%, what happens is all of a sudden, do I really have to stay in this town, this city, this state? Maybe my state is not that veteran friendly. Maybe there's no tax exemption, or maybe it's minute. Maybe my money will go much further somewhere else, like where Clay's from. So, where is it? Kentucky? Is that it?
I'm from Kentucky. I live in
Virginia.
Virginia.
Yeah,
luckily, Virginia has better benefits, right?
So your money might go further somewhere else. And all these thoughts, David, come into our mind. And oh my gosh, if you went from like a 60 to 100 and it took you a year and a half and you got a bunch of back pay, all of a sudden, either the veteran or the spouse is Google searching cute town in wherever
Yeah.
and doing searches. Walk us through a couple ideas that I already know you have things floating through your head right now. You got 1,000 things. The floor is yours, my friend.
All right. So there's a couple of things that you can do with this. So one, and also kind of knowing what you can do and some of the restrictions that come with it. So if your disability income is your sole income, or in combination of you're able to work remote, literally you could buy anywhere across the country, right? If you have nothing holding you down, you have a lot of flexibility to move. And to your point, Jason, this is why it's so important to understand how to research where you're going to and what benefits you have. Because what's confusing is some benefits are at a state level, some benefits go down to a county level, and then a city level, and they can shift those benefits, and they do update them. Like, for example, in Illinois, which is one of the loosest states for getting property tax exemptions, they're at 70% to get a waiver for property taxes. Most states are 100% P&T. Well, now they're getting that bright idea that, wait a second, why are we doing 70% and other states are doing 100% P&T? So now they're looking to change that. And, being in this business and living in Illinois, I didn't even know that was coming down the pipeline until another veteran brought it up to me. And I'm like, why are they keeping this a secret? Because they want to save money. So that's just a factor. Now, that back pay you get, there's a couple things that you can do with that. One, you can pay off debt that you may have, but I wouldn't recommend doing things on your own. I would recommend schedule a call with me and I'll walk you through what makes the most sense, because I'll talk to people and they're like, this is my plan. And I'm like, wait a second, let's do the exact opposite, please, because it makes more financial sense. And then the other part is that you can then use part of that back pay to pay for closing costs. Just because you're buying a house at 100% financing doesn't mean that you don't have to pay closing costs just because you have 100% P&T disability. Another part is that you still have to move, so you still need money. But I'll give you guys a little secret, and I'm going to do a video around this here pretty soon. If your sole income, which a lot of veterans I talk to have 100% P&T disability rating, you can actually have someone else pay 2/3 of your mortgage payment. And I didn't realize this. And I had a whole conversation this morning with somebody that specializes in what's called a HUD-VASH program. It's a housing voucher. Now, this is the thing. It's all based on the local housing authority. Some of them will let you still use a HUD-VASH program on your own mortgage. I want you to hear that again. There's programs that will pay 2/3 of your mortgage payment. VA disability does not count as income for the program. And we've done videos on this. Jason's done it. I've done them. I'm sure Clay has as well. It's a powerful tool, but you really have to do that research to be able to get yourself into a better position. And, it's funny because I was talking with someone today about the program. And, we did with 100% P&T. And if you manage your finances well, you have reserves, you could really buy up to $1 million property in certain cases. The irony is that not only can you buy a home with what you have and utilize a HUD-VASH voucher, you can put in 3 other people that are using the HUD-VASH voucher. Now you're making money. And I'll tell you why. $73 million of vouchers go unused every single year. So it's just like veterans when they say, oh, I'm taking benefits from other veterans, they deserve it more than I do. That money is allocated for the veteran community to utilize. And if you don't utilize those benefits, it may be too late when you want to. It's the same saying I always say. When you don't need money, people want to give it to you. When you need money, nobody wants to give it to you. So it's better to position yourself in a better light for your future than trying to do something last minute.
Right. You made me think of something, David. And I'm sure you're aware of this, but for those watching if you're open, which I find that veterans tend to be the most open to, well, I don't know, I'll go try that place out. Well, you know,
Anything once.
well, you're going to give me $100, I'll go do it. You know, I'll give it a shot. So is that in some cities, they will have grants that they will give you to purchase properties in specific areas that they're trying to get to be nicer or what have you. Get more homeowners in there instead of renters. They want to get some owners in there, and some of them are straight up grants, and some of them are like really, I'm going to say weird, for lack of a better word, weird loans. Like it's a loan, but it's a forgivable loan if you don't move out of the house for like 20 years.
Right.
There's no payments on it. There's no interest. There's nothing. It's just there. It's encumbered. So if you sell the house within 20 years, we'll just say you have to pay that back. But if you live there and you're there for more than 20 years, it just goes away. And now you don't owe anything because the city is trying to, again, get more homeowners, maybe in a downtown area that they're trying to dress up and attract, business or whatever. So these are great options. Back in the day, I actually did a loan for two friends that bought a house together. They were both in their early 20s, and they just were like, hey, I can't really buy anything on my own and you can't buy anything on your own, but we believe home ownership is the way. So let's buy this place together. And they bought in a downtown area that, over time will change. And they ended up getting a great deal and ended up getting, I want to say it was 20%. They got a 20%, basically like a silent second, we'll call it, on there in order to make that happen. So just food for thought for people out there that, do some research, search around. There are some fantastic opportunities for the right person. Clay, I know you had a question for David. Do you want to throw that out to him now?
Well, I have a few questions, but David, go ahead. And I'm about to steer this off the road and go another direction. But go ahead, David.
All right, let me first, before we dig this into the ditch, I want to touch on what you mentioned. So so you have a couple different programs. You have community seconds, where you also have like the state that will actually do the program. And there's also other programs where they actually put you into, like, you buy the house, but then they limit how much you can actually sell it for. So you really have to redefine the details. And they also come with credit restrictions and debt to income restrictions. VA loan is extremely loose. So make sure you do your research before you go into it, because at times it could do more harm than not. Because I'll tell you, like anything in life, nothing is free. So what happens typically is what we see is that you get in at higher interest rates and they give you this free money with all these stipulations. And when rates drop, then it hinders you from refinancing into lower rates. So keep that in mind when you go through that journey and do your research. Sometimes it's too good to be true. It's too good to be true.
Yeah.
Well, let's take it off the rails.
Okay, no, so it's still within the lane of VA home loan, but I also want to talk about Thanksgiving coming up, which is tomorrow. Happy early Thanksgiving, you two, and everyone else who's watching. But the power of veteran benefits in general, everything from VA home loan to the freaking GI Bill, VRNE, and then obviously disability compensation, And I hope my sisters are not watching this. If they are, I'm sorry to you too, right? But let's say when I'm home for Thanksgiving and everyone's talking, finances, politics, some drama, stuff that you don't want to talk about is going to pop up. And I'm sitting there, and just so food for thought, I'm from a small town in Kentucky, and my family makes small town Kentucky money. And they live a happy small town Kentucky life. That's about it, right? They see our life. I live just under DC. My wife is well established in her career. I'm pretty established in my career without even YouTube. And we bought our home before I even thought of doing YouTube. The reason I bring that up is because when I'm sitting there, I see, my family struggling, and they're just not on the same level as I am. And I'm not saying that in a douchebag way, but it is because of veteran benefits. If I did not have the VA home loan, I would not. There's no down payment I'm affording for the home I live in right now. It wouldn't have been possible. Okay. You know, I wouldn't be looking at putting my kids in private school without VA disability compensation. It's not even a thought. And so it's my opinion, and I know we've talked about this many, many times. When it comes to veterans living the American dream, especially if you're working full time and you receive, I would say 50% or higher, 50% due to the healthcare benefits, right? Those veterans specifically can seriously just be rich eventually. It's a marathon, right? That's kind of all over the place. But my question to you, David, is for Thanksgiving, looking at VA benefits, you know, where you're at in your life, what is the conversation around the table? Is it something that you share with your family saying, hey, man, sister, I know you're trying to buy a home. Well, I have the VA home loan, so sucks to suck, loser, right? Like, what's that conversation that looks like?
Clay, no, definitely not. I'm always trying to help to figure it out. But you know, that's the thing. I mean, like still serving in the military, those conversations, you know, they really don't come up as much as often anymore. Maybe they did before, like when either going through the process of doing a VA disability or you know, kind of like anytime I'm serving or deployments coming up, then, you know, there's a lot more talk about benefits and what you can do. And I come from a family where I'm the only one that served. Right. And I think that's also a major dynamic for people because for some families, it's like a lifelong, you know, brothers and sisters and uncles, they all serve. So having a conversation around your benefits, I think is important for, especially for those stubborn family members that just don't get it, that, hey, you should go do something. And they're sitting there like, I'm totally fine. And I'm like, you're totally crazy. Maybe you should go in, right? Yeah, so you have just that dynamic, right? Like, you know, when I talk about military, it's almost foreign because, again, I'm the first generation born in the United States and serving in the military. So definitely a little bit different conversation with that. But we're always talking about what's happening in the economy because that is a major factor, right? For all of us. Living our lives day in, day out, but having a service-connected compensation helps significantly because of all the benefits like you mentioned. It's not just home ownership, property tax breaks. You might have reduction in taxes for, like, I know in Virginia, you don't have to pay the 1% personal property tax, right? So every state's going to have a lot of different benefits to that.
So David, when it comes to being a resource for our own circle of influence, right? Not all of our family members, like to Clay's point, served. Right. So when with that type of a conversation, would it, I mean, I don't know, maybe other options for 100%. Maybe they don't have, or a high LTV or CLTV type of a loan situation. Maybe there's a misperception out there that they have to come in with 20% down and they only got 10 or whatever it is, right? So what would be the suggestion and the way to shift instead of being like Clay? Well, I had a VA home loan and I didn't have to do nothing. You know, besides that, there's probably a kinder, softer, gentler way that you could maybe provide some help, Clay, to your family. Or not, but I do see you got a new hat. I like your hat.
It was actually in the back of the car, and my
and all that complaining, and you had it the whole time.
I saw 3 videos that I'm not going to take down with me with no hat. So yeah,
go back and watch those, everybody. Go watch Clay with no hat. All right. That's so awesome. David, what is the suggestion to folks to help our friends and family members that did not serve?
So there are definitely a lot of programs that exist out there. Even FHA does a 3.5% down payment, which is great because you really have competitive rates and looser qualifying standards. And actually, you know what? You make up a good point. I'll finish this, but I'll kind of expand on it a little bit for veterans because this is also important. The other part is that conventional loans, a lot of people think you got to put 20% down, but they do have very attractive programs for first-time home buyers that fall within a certain income limit. So that's important to know. And I still do other types of loans. And in fact, I teach on other loan products as well, but I've just focused in on helping military because I understand the challenges that we face, right? And the obstacles when it comes to home ownership. So that's why I'm so all about it. but we help a lot of veterans, family members also across the country. So thanks for bringing that up. Well, another point to that is that, you know, when you think of being or having your VA home loan benefits, there's other ways that you can leverage different loan programs depending on what you want to do. If you're looking from an investment standpoint, how do I own as many homes as humanly possible? There's different ways that you can do that. And if you guys are interested, drop a comment in the comments that would you be interested in doing like an investor group to be able to explain how you could do those programs, including farm acquisition. I know that's something we talked about not long ago, but I'm going to be doing a whole thing on, hey, how do you buy a farm with no money down? How do you leverage different loan programs to get into having 12 doors, which is 4-unit buildings? You can do that with different loan products that exist to build wealth for you and your family, or just for you so you can hit the beach all the time. Whatever makes sense, right? But those are conversations that you should be having, not being fear-mongered by what's happening in the media and kind of taking a sideline, because the irony is there are people out there with plenty of money that are investing right now into housing, into all different types of components within real estate, and they don't even think twice. I mean, yeah. So I kind of throw that out there.
Absolutely. And, you know, on the, so I'm kind of split down the middle when it comes to, you know, sharing information, right, about us personally as veterans, whether it's, you know, what I got my house for, you know, I mean, they could figure it out if they really wanted it to, you know, if they really wanted to, people. But you know, what my interest rate is, this, that, because usually it's like, you know, with family, you know, then somebody's getting irritated, and oh, well, now you got all this extra money, I guess, huh? Or whatever, right? So you gotta be a little bit mindful, and everybody's family is different. I get it. But when it comes to VA disability compensation and VA benefits, if it's a veteran, absolutely, personally, I'm having the conversation. But maybe not everybody's fully equipped to have that conversation fully. You need to have enough information to be dangerous, but then you need to know when to back off and go, you need to go talk to somebody who knows it deep. You know, for me personally, for those that don't know, you know, I've been in the veteran benefit world for more than a decade, probably about 14 years now. I've been accredited with the VA from multiple organizations. I've ran organizations from employment services for veterans to homeless services for veterans, which included head bash stuff, and accredited to do claims and stuff with the VA. So, you know, I get it. So I'm comfortable having that conversation. But even then, Clay, I know you know probably more than anybody else that I personally know how exhausting it is to literally keep up on every single change, because the VA is really good at not telling anybody what's happening. So you have to be running around with your magnifying glass. And I think that I tell everybody this because us three here that you see, this is a joint effort to bring you information so you don't have to be like Clay, digging through, you know, just, I mean, I don't know how you do it with, you know, your family and work and everything else, but you manage to, and kudos for you because you take it seriously. And I think that's important. And David, your knowledge on VA is bar none the best that I have seen. And for those that don't know, I was in lending for 12 years. So by far the most knowledgeable VA home loan expert out there, bar none. I go find me somebody that we could have, you know, have them go up against David, because my money's on David. I'm just saying.
So
yeah,
be careful.
Yeah, let's do it.
And you know what, Jason, I'll add one other thing to that, which I've seen a lot of, is when veterans share, like, hey, I just got 100%, I'm getting an extra $800 a month. What unfortunately I've seen is that family members all of a sudden start leeching on you. And what happens, for veterans, which helps them disqualifies themselves from being homeowners themselves, is that they co-sign for other people.
Oh yeah.
And it is like like buying cars, right? Stop buying expensive cars. Please stop. Just if you're thinking about it, stop doing it. Unless you're making a ton of money. Like you can't, I see people make $5,000 a month, but have like $1,500 car payments. That's got to stop. Okay. Like buy a used car, buy a Honda or something, Toyota. I'm not sponsoring us. Okay. They're reliable, great cars. They're not exactly fancy, but they get you from point A to point B.
But you can get the little spinner rims, and that'll dress it up.
Spinner rims if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the crazy part is we see a lot of younger military folks do this, and it is still relevant today because I'll go to like Fort Belvoir or like sometimes I'll go down to some of the bases. I know names have changed, but I'll be like, how are all these brand new cars in the parking lot? And I'm like, I know people are not just making a crazy amount of money, or people coming off a deployment, especially if you're in the Guard or Reserve. You come back like, look at all this money I have. How can I spend it? Stop spending that money and stop co-signing for people unless it's like a absolute necessity. Because what I'll see people do too is they'll co-sign for someone they know they can't make payments on. And what happens is when they are late, your credit is permanently affected. A co-signer is 100% liable person.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Good advice. Tough love is probably the best love, right?
Yeah.
So you can always feel better because you're doing that. So, and especially, I mean, there's a lot of parents and grandparents and stuff that are on these channels, and it's probably the best way to be. Clay, do you have any questions that pop out to you anywhere in the chat stuff? I know there's a lot of going back and forth on between the folks, which is great. I love seeing that.
See that? Yeah.
I do. Yes, I do. There are a few things I want to show. One is this one right here. Oh, sorry, I clicked the wrong one. My bad. Okay, David Collins, right? He says 100% IU and trying to get a VA home loan. Applied for, I believe that's a certificate of eligibility. And they said I would need from the archives my LOS and NGB, which is basically a DD-214 for the Guard, right? With 23 points to qualify. He has 6 years in the Guard. Now, I know both of you were in the Guard. David, you are still in the Guard, correct?
Yes.
When it comes to VA home loans, he's 100% IU. One, good job on you for being rated. I hate that it's IU. I don't really like seeing IU, but at least you're getting rated for it, right? So that's good. Can you speak on VA home loans and for the Guard, right? Because of VA disability, we know you can submit bada bing right now. No reason to wait. What does that look like for VA home loans?
So when it comes to getting that NGB 23, I think it's NGB 22, what is recommended from the VA is they say to go back to your old unit to see if they could pull the records, depending on how old it is. And if you served in the Guard, you can go to your state command and see if they can generate it. That's another easier way of doing it because that's really at their level. The archives, going federal, depending on what branch of service you served in. So Army has the Army for Life program. The Marine Corps has the Marine for Life. And this is a side note. If you served in the Marine Corps and you lost your DD-214, and I believe this is the same thing for the Navy, it could take 6 months to get it. But if you reach out to Marine for Life, they will help expedite it. Like we did that for somebody that was in like dire need. Like they were trying to close on a house and we're like 6 months. That's insane. That's but again, we knew people at the Marine for Life program. They stepped in, they helped out. Another thing that you can do to help is you can reach out to whoever your local congressional representative is. Legitimately, you think they don't do anything. Debatable, but they actually do. Okay, I've worked with from where I'm from. I get a lot of these reps reach out to me. They're like, "Hey, David, we have a veteran. This is what's going on." So I do the opposite, right? I say, "Hey, I have a veteran that needs some help," and they will help them because they'll actually reach out to the state, to the National Guard, and help you get that DD2, the NGB 22. Yeah. And make sure it's 6 years. Okay, this is another important part, is that just because you have a disability doesn't mean you qualify for a VA loan. Okay. And this is why. If you served in the National Guard for 6 years, is it 4 years plus 2 years IAR? Because those 2 years don't count. It's got to be a full 6 years. So there's the time and service and character of discharge that you have to meet for the VA loan. You could serve 1 year, take a discharge, and get 100% disability, but it doesn't mean you actually qualify for the VA home loan. Okay, so keep that in mind because that does cause some confusion.
I got something else for you that just popped in my head. I'm so glad you had said that. A few days ago, I did a one-on-one with someone, just helping them with their claims. The 5-step process is what we had went over. He got a dishonorable discharge way back in the day, like 2000, maybe even the 90s during Jason's heyday, right? Okay, that's the last joke I got. That's the last one. I'll leave it alone.
Out there.
It was a while ago, okay? He fought for years getting his discharge upgrade. And then recently, within the last, I want to say, year, the VA, this is a good thing the VA has done. They really made a push towards discharge upgrades and healthcare benefits for those with like TBI and PTSD related discharges, right?
Mhm.
This person fell in that category. He did get his discharge upgraded, and his life really sucked. Okay, and this is a synopsis version. His life really sucked. He got his discharge upgrade. It still sucked. He started applying for VA benefits. He got disability compensation. He's going to be at 100% P&T probably. I believe he's at 80% right now. And in the last 2 years, he went from his life sucking to having an upgraded discharge to having 80% compensation, a full-time job, and he just recently bought a home, right? So that's when Jason says it's $1 million deal, that's what it is. It's life changing, right? And I kind of, it makes me go back to what I had said about Thanksgiving. Like whenever I see my other family members, and I kind of like do this, man, wherever you're at in life due to your choices, that sucks. Like that sucks. And I'm very grateful and super blessed to even have VA benefits. And then it makes me think, what you said earlier, David, you were like, well, people haven't even applied for their VA benefits yet. I just want to shake them, take their head and just shake them and say, hey, yeah, not babies, right? Just veterans. But hey, apply for your benefits, right? Use your VA home loan. Use it. Use your VA home loan. Or if that's not the best option for you, David can figure that out for you. I personally can't because that's way over my head. There are other options that veterans can also use, but get into home ownership. If you're working full-time and you receive VA disability compensation, there truly is no reason outside of your personal spending behavior why you cannot have an upper hand on the rest of the country. Right. And 100%. I truly, I genuinely mean that. But that just popped in my head about the discharge upgrade and what that looks like. Do you have any thoughts on that, Jason or David, before I go to another question here? I know that was a lot.
You know what? No, because this is kind of the Thanksgiving time frame and all of that, I do want to throw something out. And I've told this story probably 2 or 3 times out of more than 1,400 videos. So if you heard it again, I'm sorry. You never know who you're going to talk to. Okay. You never know the veteran who you're talking to, what their situation is when you first meet somebody, right? So look at it through the lens of this person may not be service connected and throw out a little feeler, right? Because that's what we're talking about. This is absolutely life-changing benefits. There is nothing else out there like this. I met my neighbor at a place that I used to live. It was like a week after I moved in. Finally, we happened to be outside at the same time. Older guy, nice guy. We're talking. He has his dog. And about 3 sentences in, I asked him, hey, did you ever serve? It's kind of, I like to figure out, who are you? Can I trust you? Are you going to watch my house when I'm not here? So he said, yes. I asked, oh, yeah, what branch, right? I was in the Navy. I was Vietnam, oh, okay. Wow. Well, welcome home, and did all that. Thanks for, all you did. And, my next question was, well, are you service connected? And he's like, I don't know. I said, well, did you apply for VA? I'm already knowing the answer is no at this point. Did you apply for VA benefits? And he said, well, I tried when I actually came back. I was on the little boats, on the Brownwater Navy. Good times. I was like, wow, So he went to the VA. Now remember, the VA is an umbrella. It's the VHA, Health Administration, VBA, Benefits Administration, and the National Cemeteries Administration. So he went to the VA, which happened to be a healthcare facility, and asked them, hey, can I sign up for benefits? They said, well, here's a form. He started to fill it all out, and he was working, and he put in his income. They told him, well, you make too much, you don't qualify. Oh, okay. And he left. He didn't know what he just thought he was applying for VA.
Yeah.
So imagine that. I met this guy in his 70s. He did that in 1970, right? So many years lost. We filed a claim. We got him up to 80% out the gate, and then filed again for TDIU in his mid-70s. And he got awarded TDIU, for those that don't know, Total Disability Individual Unemployability. It's a mouthful. That pays him out at 100%. It's a big deal. Completely just lifted up everything in his life and made it even better than it was. And this is, like you said, Clay, this is literally $1 million deal. Treat it like it is. When you meet other veterans, ask them if they're service connected, and at least give them enough encouragement. When they hear it enough, they might take that step forward. 70% of veterans are not connected with the VA for veterans benefits through disability compensation. 30% are. Us 30% need to share the word, because that's what we should be doing. David, any thoughts on any of that stuff?
Hold
Definitely.
on one second.
Yeah.
We had donations, and they're big. Okay. One, I don't know whose channel this is, but regardless, what helps Jason helps me. What helps me helps Jason and David as well, right? So Stephen, thank you very much. We definitely appreciate that. 100% P&T as of yesterday. Congrats, dude. Right? He said, thank you so much with your channels. Thank you both. On that note, we get a lot of slack for doing YouTube stuff and thumbnails and titles. At the end of the day, you can hate it, you can like it. It's irrelevant. The amount of people that I think Jason has helped, especially with you have like 27 million views. I don't know how many you have. It's insane, right? I'm about to hit 7 million. I feel good about myself. You're insane though. So yeah, the videos that we do, they actually help. Okay. And so I hope they help you, but thank you very much, Stephen. We definitely appreciate that. Donovan Salick says, U.S. Air Force vet, happy Thanksgiving. Hey, happy Thanksgiving to you. We definitely appreciate that. And then last one, and then I'll answer this and we'll kick it back to you, David. Chow 89. Sorry, I can't read your name, brother. Thank you very much. Says, got sleep apnea at 0% in December 23. I applied once my PCP got my CPAP. August 24 was awarded 50% due. Do I get back pay? Unfortunately, probably not, right? Now, there is a chance, real quick, because the 0% for sleep apnea rating right now, not proposed changes, super rare, very, very rare. There is a chance that there was a mistake made or duty to assist error made on that claim. You would have to file a review for that specifically. That's with this comment alone, that's what I would suggest. But food for thought, if your test if you do not have the apnea episodes to rate a treatment, CPAP is one of them, right? Or a mouthpiece, and it truly is 0%, there's nothing you can do, right? So I don't know what your tests say. It just depends what that is. But thank you very much. I hope that answered your question. Go ahead.
And so the answer here is also get with an accredited representative that can reach into the VBS system on your behalf, so they can look and get all of the information in and see exactly where you should fall. Because depending on if you had an intent to file in, or if it was based on if you filed your not a higher level, supplemental, if you filed a supplemental within a year's time frame, depending on when you got the prescribed CPAP or not, all of these factors are going to come into play. So get with an accredited rep, highly suggested.
Yep. One more thing on that too, because I didn't misspoke, but I want to explain it out. The CPAP isn't what rates 50%. It's your apnea episodes requiring treatment. Someone who has very minor sleep apnea can still wear a CPAP because it still helps, right? So it's on your apnea episodes. Just to be very, very clear, I think that's what happened in your case. But the probability of the VA messing up is also there too. So definitely get with a credit rep, like Jason had said. Okay, David, we're at 55 minutes right now. Let's get back to VA home loans. What do you got for us?
Yeah,
Or you can add to that whatever you want, whatever you feel. It's fluid.
Thank you. Well, to kind of just talk on this topic of, should you be discussing your benefits or not, it kind of reminded me kind of towards the end is that I actually have a lot of family members reach out to me asking about their kids' veteran benefits. So in one way, do you want to share all your personal information with other people? Not necessarily. But if you have a veteran friend or your family, a loved one watching this, because sometimes, I mean, I'm sure you guys know, veterans may shy away from trying to get help when they do need it, right? So this is a great way to maybe not do it publicly in front of everyone at a table, but pull them aside and give them the resources like the YouTube channels, because that's what I do. Right. When I talk to someone and they're like, I haven't even thought about it, like, hey, check out Clay and Jay and see like what they have. Right. So at least you can get yourself on track. So in one way, when it comes to family members that maybe don't know their benefits, guide them in the right way. The other part to that, like you mentioned, JC, that 7-year-old gentleman that didn't do it. Do you know that a lot of older veterans absolutely do not know their benefits? And I know this because I did a presentation at I went to the Illinois VFW convention, and nobody knew the information. None of them. It's a big misconception around it. A big one is that you can only use the VA home loan once, or my benefits have expired. But what people don't realize is that you can use the benefit to help your family members, right? Like, especially your kids. Like if you've bought a home and you're like, you know what? I want to buy another property. If you buy another primary residence because you're retired and you can live anywhere, guess what? Now your kids can live with you at a place maybe where they work, right? So it just opens up opportunities to have multiple properties. But like, that's a common thing. Like, my benefits expired. I already used it once. I can't use it again. And I'm like, let's do a timeout. Like, that's not how the program works. Or they don't know they can put their homes in a trust, because that is a big benefit of the VA home loan program, because you still protect your benefits, but you avoid a lot of issues. I'm not an attorney, right? But I'm doing it myself, so I kind of know about it. I always laughing at my disclaimers, but I have to, right? So there's so much power in the benefits that you have. Just sharing those with people or the loved ones around you, or pointing them in the right direction is so important.
Absolutely. This one I know came from David's channel, because on it gives me the little link, which tells me it came from your channel. So I'm sure you're grateful for that.
Yeah, thanks,
David, that's the bald guy in the middle. If you don't know, everyone, that's a joke. Sorry. I would love to see/hear videos on how to get investment properties. I'm going to double down on that, not monetarily, just verbally for you, David. I also want to see that, right? I'm 32. With the VA benefits that I definitely take advantage of. If I'm going to preach about it, I'm going to do it myself. I'm actually going to be applying for VRNE here very soon. That I'm not looking, it's not really looking favorable for me, but I want to go through the process and see if I can for my master's in theology school, which is crazy, right? Anyways, I'm going to double down on that, because I see myself in this place where I want to use my benefits for wealth at this point, right? So I'm going to double down on what Chris B had said here. Can you just give like a one-liner, as short as you can? What does that actually look like? We're about to hit the hour mark, and then unless anything pops up, we can kind of close it out from there.
You want me to give a one-liner on the investment piece?
What does that mean?
Yeah. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So
Talk
I
to me,
mean,
talk to me like I'm an idiot. I am an
no,
idiot.
no, no.
Okay. Well, talk to me like it.
You're good. You're good. All right. So this is what we could do. We could put kind of like a mastermind together about veterans that want to learn more, because everyone's situation is going to be a little bit different. But what I can do is show you guys how to stagger different programs that have very low down payments in order to position yourself to get at least into 12 doors, meaning 12 units, 3-4 unit buildings. And also, how do you diversify your portfolio by looking into farming loans, because they actually generate decent income if you know how to do the math. And also, we can pull resources to say, can we maybe have 4 or 2 or 5 people get together and purchase properties, providing you like each other. And there's so many benefits to that. So like, that's what we want to, if we can, we'll put that together.
All right. Awesome. Are you doing that personally?
I am
Is that a
currently.
conversation that I should have with you once we end this stream? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing that right now. I just just did a whole video on buying land, and that's kind of like the key to people's success. Because I just got pre-approved to buy more land, and I just got approved to do a farm loan. So there's so many things, different tools that you can use to position yourself. Because like people will say, well, housing is unaffordable. Well, guess what? It's going to continue to be unaffordable. But how do you lock in? Like, how do you lock in a place now? Land, right? Land is cheap.
They're not making any more of it either.
They're not making, unless we take over other countries. That's the only way. All right.
So
or whatever they say, right?
So I don't know, David. My guess is no. My guess is no. But do you offer land loans?
So I don't offer land loans, but I can at least guide you in the right direction. But that's what I think. I got a video that I'm going to release here soon. And I could probably do a separate live stream, just understanding like investment strategies with different loan programs, what it really looks like for a land loan. Because again, I bought land. I'm just got qualified to buy more land. So I can kind of walk you guys through different strategies and what you should be looking for, because plenty of great areas where you could buy $20,000 to $60,000 parcel of land. Like there's plenty of places.
I have a really good friend of mine. I met him. He just left the Army and he came to work where I work at in my office. He actually sat right behind me. And then he had transitioned from North Carolina. He had 5 kids. Okay. His wife didn't work. He was the sole provider. He was waiting on disability. He's fresh out of the Army. And since he transitioned from North Carolina up to Virginia, his family wasn't with him. He was kind of homeless for about a month because he was searching for a home. And in Virginia, in the DC area, it's wild up here. Okay. So he couldn't find a home. Anyways, he ended up staying in my basement. He worked there for a year with Booz Allen. And then, I'm sharing this to show you the power of VA benefits. I'm helping him with his disability. He easily got 100% P&T. He had like 5 or 6 deployments to Afghan. He broke his back as airborne. I was like, dude, this is the easiest thing ever. Don't give me anything. Just file your claim. You'll be fine. So he got 100% P&T. And it goes back to what Jason said earlier, moving somewhere. And in fact, and don't say his name if you remember this, David, but he actually went through you and bought a home in Alabama. And the reason he did that is because, 1, we knew each other. So, hey, there's a plug for David, right? And then 2, Alabama, if you're an out-of-state resident, once you move there, you live there for 5 years, you pay taxes, you're 100% P&T, your children now go to school for free. And he made that decision to move to Alabama simply for his 5 kids, right? He just got a waiver on 5 different tuitions, assuming his children want to go to higher education, right? And that's the power of benefits. No one else in America has that power to say, you know what? I'm going to a different state using the VA home loan. I'm using Alabama state benefit for college for 5 kids, which is what, $150,000? I don't know what it is, right?
That's insane.
And we're talking about the University of Alabama, and these are like very prestigious, SEC conference like schools, and it's just like no one else has these benefits. Please use them. Please contact David and just have that conversation. You know, that dude had no idea what his life would be like 2 years from right now, and now he's in Alabama. He has tons of land. He has a huge house, and he's on VA compensation, and he works. And you know what? If he quit today, he would still be able to afford his bills because of his VA benefits. So it is $1 million deal, and it's a lot of stress off your life. And who doesn't want the power to be like, you know what? I'm gonna move across states, right? Anyways, that's really all I have. If there was one story to bring VA benefits together, I think it's that one. I'm trying to see him on Sunday because I'm in Alabama right now for Thanksgiving, but we'll see kind of how that looks like. But yeah, that's kind of all I have, David.
That's awesome, man. Make sure you guys grab a beer for me. Yeah, and I know he's doing well because like he called. I talked to him, and he actually got even a better job where he moved to. He didn't know if that was going to happen, so I'm like, man, that's awesome. So yeah, thank you for that. Well, thanks again to everyone for joining us. Have a happy Thanksgiving. I'll let you guys close it up. I just want to say that to everybody for spending your Wednesday evening with us, and good luck tomorrow.
Yeah, good luck tomorrow. Also, we have one last super sticker from Rebecca Sanford. Thank you very much for the $19.99. We definitely appreciate that. Jason, go ahead and bring us home with your home style sweet potato casserole like outro that you do. That's my favorite dish. So
yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. You look like that would be your favorite dish. Yeah, that's good. All right. So, and for those that haven't seen, I don't remember what video it is, Clay, what your thumbnail is, but the one where you did the little funny thing with the me coming up in front of you.
Oh yeah, the old man. Yeah.
Yeah, that one. What do you remember the thumbnail on that? Stan is sleeping, by the way. Sorry.
I will show you this right now because
Okay.
I can share my screen.
Oh, how
you mean
perfect.
the one I did of this being old, right?
Yes. Why do you have to keep saying it? Oh, I get it.
No, it just gets
so
better.
For those that haven't seen this, it's ridiculous. And I don't know what it is that was happening with his camera, but I will tell you, he kept getting better looking on and off through it for a little while.
Okay,
so hopefully
we are down that road, and we are going to do this now. Oh my gosh, this is how a viewer feels. Okay, this is it. I'm sorry, guys.
Hey, Clay, you could pay for ad-free service, right, from YouTube?
That's not happening. I can't do that to myself. Hold on. I'm gonna hit pause. Oh my gosh, there it
is. Oh, that is so perfect. Oh, you're tiny
too. What that's so good. You have, yeah,
that's really good. Yeah. Well, hey. That's ridiculous. So for those that hadn't seen that, now you did. Good for you. That is awesome. Really, look, from the bottom of our hearts, all three of us, we super enjoy every single one of you so very much. We do our best to bring you the best up-to-date information every day. We don't have boot camps to sell. We don't have PowerPoints to sell you. We just do this for you. Your support, the supers, for those that can, that's very helpful, and we really appreciate that type of stuff. We have memberships too to help support the channel, another great way. But obviously, that is not a necessity. Your subscription and your participation in what we consider a movement is really what we appreciate. Hit the thumbs up and let the video run. Those are the only asks that we have. Thanks so much for watching. We truly appreciate every single one of you. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.
That's right. Also, one last donation. I'm sorry, I can't. Not skipping $50. Right?
Yeah, heck yeah.
Thank you very much. I definitely appreciate that. Last thing, you can contact David. You'll see his information in the description. And that's it. I'm going to